What he said is, you are a celebrity. There's product here. Right here.
Hello. Welcome back.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to all, and to all a Merry Christmas, as they say. It's been a while. Welcome back to the podcast. That's probably what I should say. Episode.
Yeah, I've been very busy, very hectic.
Life never stops for us, you know.
No,
We haven't got time to sit down and interview directors or talk about Borat 2.
Yeah.
This is episode 8 of the podcast. 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Tens of hours of sheer entertainment. It's quite impressive, if you think about it.
Yeah, it is. Episode 8.
Here we
Wow.
are.
Maybe we'll get to 10 one day.
Maybe by next Christmas we'll get to 10.
Mm.
Now, normally we would start with a nice look at the emails, look at the comments.
Telling me we don't have any.
That is correct. We are.
Oh.
We've hit a
Not
dry
even
patch.
any emails.
Well, we've had emails, but not to do with the pod.
Just read out an email
Okay.
that was sent to the thatfilmbloguk email address.
I actually had one the other day. I got sent. I'll show you.
Oh, wow.
Honestly, for the listeners, this isn't much fun, but whatever. So
Wow.
I got sent from Signature Entertainment. Copy of Jiu-Jitsu, their new film it's got Nicolas Cage and Frank Grillo.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so a review of that will be out hopefully on the 27th is my objective. So thanks to them for that. I look forward to
Good shout
getting
out.
cracking on that. Shout out to them.
Yeah. Did I get anything?
Well, you can borrow it afterwards if you want. Any fan mail?
No. Nothing from our Pats.
Yeah, I think it's got lost in his inbox or something. We did have a nice email from someone called Amanda Williamson, which for some reason hit the spam folder. I'm not sure why.
Oh.
She said, "Hello, can I talk to you, please, Laura?" So she's obviously got her names mixed up there because that came from Amanda.
Well, thank you, Laura/Amanda.
I've replied several times and had nothing back, so I'm really curious as to what she wants.
Yeah.
We'll find out.
Probably just a fan of the show.
Just wants to chat with us. Probably wants to be a guest.
Yeah.
Don't blame her.
Yeah. We have a high caliber of guests.
We do. We're 1 for 1 right now on the guests. We're soaring. Okay, should we get into the news? 2 bits of news because we're rushing through news. We've got a very exciting special for today.
Oh, it's Christmas.
It is. It's the 21st. It's the birthday of our good friend Luke Griffiths, who's currently in the audience. Happy birthday to him.
Yeah, big shout out to that guy.
Do you want to start with the first bit of news? Because I know you were quite passionate about this one.
Yeah, I do have some news. Basically, Shrek has been added to, I think it's called the Library of Congress. Basically, a lot of classic, I think they have to be American films.
They have to be at least 10 years old as well.
20, I think.
Oh, no, it can't be. It can't be.
Maybe 18.
Because The Dark Knight's in there and that's 12.
But
anyway, carry on.
Maybe 10. So Shrek has been added because it's culturally, aesthetically significant for American society. So big shout out to DreamWorks Animation, Mike Myers, Eddie Murphy, Cameron Diaz, John Lithgow. He's great in that.
I think it should have been Shrek 2 instead of Shrek 1, but hey ho. I guess it's not old enough yet. Dark Knight was also in there. Shout out. My favourite film, so I'm pretty glad. Yeah. It's my basic opinion.
Prince Avalanche isn't in there yet.
Oh man, one day.
I don't think there's any David Gordon Green in there.
The Hurt Locker was in there as well. I haven't seen that, but
Fargo's in there.
But it's pretty crazy that something like Shrek's in there before. I mean, I don't know whether Toy Story or anything is, but it's not the best.
Toy Story is as good as Shrek.
I disagree. I think millions disagree.
Yeah, maybe. We'll have to ask.
I mean, talking about Toy Story leads us on quite nicely to our second piece of news.
Go on.
Disney investors call last week. Did you watch any of the live stream?
No.
I watched the Star Wars bit. And so much was announced. So starting off with Star Wars, obviously The Mandalorian is just finished, so I'm going to be
Say about
sensitive.
that.
I really like. I liked it, but without getting into spoilers, I think it kind of relies quite heavily on nostalgia rather than doing new things, which is fine. But I'm hoping that going forwards, it's a bit more original. But we'll see. I still enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. Anyway, loads of Star Wars stuff was announced. Patty Jenkins is directing a film.
She's good.
She's good. Rogue Squadron, it's called. I think that's 2022 or 2023. That was the only film announcement, except from the Taika Waititi one, but they've not said anything about that, just that he's working on it.
He's working on a Star Wars film.
Yeah. That
Didn't
was
we know-
announced May the 4th of this year.
Yeah, we knew that already.
Yeah. And then so much TV was announced. A lot of which I'm not going to mention because it gives stuff away about The Mandalorian. But the two I do want to mention is
The big one.
Obi-Wan.
Obi-Wan. I'm very much looking forward to that. Ewan McGregor is sexy, talented, funny.
Guess who else is back?
What?
Hayden Christensen. Lord Vader himself.
But is he going to be under a mask, presumably?
I imagine so, but I'd be really shocked if they didn't do flashbacks to the Clone Wars at some point.
Yeah, there's a lot of...
Oh, I would love, as a big Clone Wars fan, I would love some live action Clone Wars flashback. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That would make my 2021. We don't know much else about that. It's a limited series, so we're not getting a series 2 of it. But I'm very excited to see what that actually is. Maybe they'll age him up a bit to make him look a bit more like Alec Guinness.
Yeah.
Which I'd like.
Yeah, because surely he's just fanning around on Tatooine.
Yeah, what's he actually doing realistically? He can't be up to much.
No.
It does make me
Yeah,
wonder.
I can watch Ewan McGregor stare at a wall.
He's great in everything. He's great in Birds of Prey, which is not on my list this year, but for a while it was my favourite film of the year until
Salmon
about
fishing in the Yemen.
I haven't seen that. That's too cool for me.
Standard film, standard fare, I'd call it, but
Yeah.
enjoyable nonetheless. Who doesn't want to see Emily Blunt and Ewan McGregor put salmon fish in the Yemen River?
It's captivating premise, so I really should get to that. Then the only other Star Wars thing I wanted to mention was The Bad Batch, which is the new animated show.
And what is that?
It's a sequel to Clone Wars. It's set pretty much straight after Clone Wars ended, and obviously there was a new season of Clone Wars this year, which intersected between the events of Episode 3. So you see Order 66 from the perspective of the clones, which was it was cracking. And the first 4 episodes of that season was an arc around the Bad Batch, and they're like a group of elite clones who aren't, because obviously they're all born of Jango Fett's DNA. They're not. So they've all got their own personalities, their own look. They have like their own armor. They're a special unit, and they kind of fight alongside Anakin and Obi-Wan for a few episodes to rescue one of their like mates, and then they disappear at the end. So this show picks up after Clone Wars, and is going to show like the transition from the Republic to the Empire from the perspective of the Bad Batch. We don't know that there was a little trailer which didn't give too much away. The Tarkin's in it is probably the biggest takeaway.
Who?
Grand Moff Tarkin.
Who's that?
From episode 4, you know, the guy who's like next to Darth Vader the whole time? The old guy?
The old guy.
Yeah, Grand Moff Tarkin. He's like the Empire leader, the General Hux equivalent of that film.
Isn't he dead?
Yeah, but this is set.
I forgot it's animated.
Yeah, and it's set before episode 4.
Gotcha.
But my predictions, I think Ahsoka's going to show up because she's alive. I think we'll see Darth Vader. To be completely honest, we're not going to see Tarkin and not Vader. Sorry,
Hayden Christensen voicing him? Do you think?
I'd be surprised because they've got their own Anakin voice actor, and he's probably quite a draw now. He's back in Star Wars. They're not going to want to fork out that money.
Yeah.
But that's very exciting.
That is exciting if you like.
There are obviously other shows. If you're a fan of Star Wars, you've seen Mandalorian, you probably already know what they are. I don't want to mention them purely because I don't want to.
Not even names.
No, I think it's too much of a risk.
Uh,
I mean, there's one that's set before. I forgot what it's called. This isn't a spoiler. This one. It's set before Phantom Menace, which I'm really excited. That's the time period I've always wanted to be explored in Star Wars. That's very exciting. There's a few that intersect with the Mandalorian, so I think the Mandalorian is now kind of the center of its own little shared universe. There's like 3 or 4 series now that are spin-offs of the Mandalorian, but I'm not
marvelizing it.
They are, which I'm not sure how I feel about, to be honest.
Mm.
It would be interesting if they explore new things instead of just filling in gaps, because it makes the world feel a bit smaller. And it's meant to be a big galaxy. But hey, what do I know?
No.
I'm just some schmuck. You a fan of Buzz Lightyear?
Yeah, I like Tim Allen. I don't think anyone's ever said that before.
Got some bad news for you, buddy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Tim Allen's been replaced.
What? Oh no, I walked into that.
The new Pixar film Lightyear stars Chris Evans as Buzz Lightyear.
Why?
Well, it's not actually about the toy. It's about, he tweeted this, Chris Evans tweeted this. It's about that space guy astronaut that inspired the toy, which is a slightly odd spin-off to do. But I mean, I'm quite interested. Hopefully it's got Zerg and all Star Command and all that. But it could be quite interesting.
They're not real.
Well, they might. That's a good point.
It's basically about Buzz Aldrin.
Yeah, pretty much. It's just going to be First Man.
Yeah.
Pixar animated.
We've done that.
Been there. You don't need another one. I don't really know why they needed to replace Tim Allen. I think that's a bit of a shame.
He is Buzz.
He is Buzz. It would be like replacing Tom Hanks as Woody. It can't run. It's just a strange concept. They would never make a Woody prequel about the actual cowboy behind the toy.
No.
I don't really get it.
I would rather see that, if I'm being honest.
I'd like to see one. I would like a Buzz Lightyear film if it's about him fighting against Zerg and aliens and different planets. Like that would be great. But if it's just him as a normal human astronaut, I'm obviously going to watch it.
It's Pixar.
It's Pixar. I actually watched Onward. This again isn't on the list, but I really liked Onward.
Still haven't seen that one either.
And the last thing from Disney was they announced loads of Marvel things. But I wrote down here, we don't care about Marvel.
I certainly don't.
I mean, I care a bit, but not enough to go through it all. Sorry?
It's for children.
It is. I mean, I like Marvel. I will watch every single show.
Yeah,
but I can't be bothered to discuss it. Which leads us on to the reason we're here.
Feature.
As we speak, it's the 21st of December. We've got 10 days left of one hell of a year, huh? So what better way to wrap up than look at because I think it's been a great year for films, regardless of all the delays. I think it's been a great year. One of my probably, I wouldn't say my favourite year of the millennium, but it's definitely top 3.
What?
I think there's been some cracking stuff. That's quite generous. I don't know. Top 5, definitely top 5.
Better than last year.
Yeah.
Parasite. Well, Parasite actually.
I'm counting Parasite this year.
Yeah, so am I. Yeah, obviously.
I'd say better than last year. Although The Irishman, I'd say, is the best film of the past 5 years. So I don't know.
Really? Really?
Yeah.
What's it
I
about?
rewatched it. Legacy, and it shows you everything about gangster films that gangster films never show you. It's so special. Oh, I love it. It's
it's an excellent film. I wouldn't say it's the best film in the last few years.
I rewatched it a few weeks ago for its the anniversary of it coming out. It blows my mind. It's so good. Robbie De Niro, Al Pacino. They absolutely kill that film.
Well, have you seen a video? Someone did like deep fakes that made them actually look much younger than the film did.
But I didn't mind it because And I'll get
that
onto this in a bit.
That scene where Robert
He's
De Niro
kicking.
stamps on the guy. Looks like
I didn't find it as jarring second time around. And also, I kind of get it in the sense that it's from the perspective of him looking back on the past. So it's not exactly, nothing's quite as it actually was. It's just his like blurry memory of it.
right. Okay.
But that's probably just me making an excuse for shoddy CGI, to be honest.
That's like saying Cyberpunk 2077 is meant to have glitches.
Which I'm sure it's not. I won't know because I'm not getting it because I haven't got a PS5. Unlike some of us here.
Yeah. What?
Yeah, you got a PS5?
Shut up! Stop embarrassing me on the internet.
Sorry. I'll save that for later. So our criteria. We've each picked 3 films that have come out in 2020, UK release dates, that is. Because we get things late sometimes and we still want to talk about them.
Yeah, so
We've got a few honourable mentions each. And it's worth noting, this isn't necessarily our favourite films.
Yeah.
But it's what we deem worthy of discussion or recommendation.
Yes.
Because, well, my favourite film is mentioned, but it's not actually of the 3 I'm recommending. And also a disclaimer, Soul isn't out yet. The new Pixar film. That's out Christmas Day. So we can't talk about it because we haven't seen it. But apparently it's very good. So it could be here, but it's not. So there's not really much we can do about that. There we go. So I'll just start with my honourable mentions very quickly.
Go on then.
I've got 3. Number 1 is Da 5 Bloods. We mentioned it before, so I'm not going to dwell on it much. But that is I was debating between this and Parasite. It's my favourite of the year, but I think it is Da 5 Bloods just because it feels so timely. Everything that's happened in regards to race this year, Chadwick Boseman, all the plays Delroy Lindo's got. He's tipped for an Oscar, which is fair enough. I think Spike Lee deserves an Oscar for it. I think it's fantastic. And it is my overall favourite. Second honourable mention.
Better than Parasite.
Better than Parasite. Purely because of the commentary it has and how timely it feels within this year is my main reason. I think on a filmmaking level, it's probably there or thereabouts with Parasite. My second one's Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I saw that the other day. It's out now on Netflix. Chadwick Boseman is going to get the Oscar for it, and he absolutely does. He's so good.
What, supporting or lead?
Probably supporting. But I don't know, because he's got enough dialogue.
Netflix, right?
Pardon?
Is that out on Netflix?
Yeah, that came out on Friday, I think.
We'll give that a watch.
Really, Viola Davis is also really good. She'll probably get a nom for it.
Of course she will.
But for his last role, there's no way they're not going to give it to him. There's a few monologues he does in that film that are just astounding.
Wow.
My last one, Red, White and Blue, from the Small Axe anthology. I've seen a lot of discourse of, is Small Axe collectively one film or are they individual films?
They're individuals, sure.
Yeah, that's what I think. Red, White and Blue probably isn't the best one, but it's my favourite just because John Boyega is amazing in it. And it's a really interesting commentary on the police, which again is really timely this year. If I could only rewatch, I've still not seen the last one, but if I could only rewatch one, it would be Red, White and Blue. So those are my honourable mentions. Ollie, do you want to hit us with yours?
My honourable mentions. I've just got I've got 3. One of them is not a film.
Ooh.
I just thought I'd mention it and recommend it to anyone that hasn't gone out and played it.
Oh.
It's called The Last of Us Part 2. Made by a small independent studio.
I've heard of this, yeah. No spoilers.
No spoilers. It expands on the first game, which was adored by
everyone.
By almost everyone that played it. And it expands on that in such an exciting and subversive way. A lot of people complained that it tries to shock you, but it really doesn't. The way it uses the video game medium is quite fantastic. Although I will say it's also at times held back by the medium, in the way that it's sort of about. It's critical of violence, but then it's really fun. going around. Well, fun, maybe not quite fun, but it's thrilling. You know, going
Yeah.
around, well, effectively killing people in a very realistic and brutal manner. So it's jarring in that sense, and there are pacing issues. But I think other than that, it is a masterpiece.
Mm.
It does so much. Again, some people said too much. It's too ambitious, which is possibly fair.
Yeah.
And it's not the sequel I don't think anyone wanted, but it's the sequel that made the most sense. And you know, they wanted to make a game that was worth making, and this game is worth making and worth telling you all about, all 20 listeners.
Let's not be generous, man.
So yeah, that's my recommendation. I don't know what I was going to say. My next recommendation, my other honourable mention that isn't my first one that's a film is Uncut Gems, which came out right at the start of the year.
It did.
So it's almost a year old now. That film is so good, so old.
It is wild. I finally saw it a few nights ago for the first time.
Oh really? You've only
in preparation for this very podcast, actually.
Oh wow! And what did you think?
I really liked it. Adam Sandler kills it. Adam
Sandler is so good in that film. So is everyone. Kevin Garnett's brilliant.
Yeah, he's really good. The Weeknd's good in it.
The Weeknd's not that good. He's there.
He's fine.
Doesn't make a fool of himself.
Lakeith was pretty good.
Lakeith is, you know,
he's cool.
Unsurprisingly excellent. Yeah, everyone's good. The music by Daniel Lopatin, or Lopatin, he's French, so it's probably pronounced like that, with an excellent soundtrack. One thing I will say is, that makes it sound like this is about to be criticism. It's not. I love the way the whole thing is pure chaos in every.
Oh my god, it is.
Every sense of the word.
It's such an overload.
Yeah, there's people speaking everywhere, and you almost can't hear what's actually going on. But it's chaos. It's amazing. It's fantastic.
My question for you is: do you prefer that or Good Time?
That is an excellent question. I would probably say I prefer Uncut Gems.
Really?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I don't know what it is. The difference for me is that even though everything that happens to Howard, I can't remember his surname. Everything that happens to Howard Ratner, Howard Ratner in that film is his own making, really. But you do still sympathise with him. Even though he is a bit of a bellend most of the time.
Yeah, he's pretty stupid.
But then in Good Time, Robert Pattinson's character is deplorable in every sense of the word.
He is terrible.
So I think that is the difference. And by the end of Good Time, you kind of spoils it. Nah, both one character gets what they deserve, the other doesn't.
In Good Time or compared to both?
Good Time, he gets his.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, I see what you mean.
But Uncut Gems is a bit different, so yeah. But I need to watch Heaven Knows What, which is a film. First, well, I don't think it's their first, but one of their earliest films, which is on BFI Player.
Oh, I actually have a subscription for that.
You didn't get rid of it?
No, I watched a few films on it, and I just thought, okay, it's only $5 a month, and there is so much on it I do want to watch.
There's a lot of good stuff on there. I'm gonna get my brother's email address and get the free trial again. Sorry, BFI.
We love you.
No. Invite us next year.
We'll get another free trial in the goodie bag.
So yeah, Uncut Gems. And my third honourable mention is Trolls World Tour, which I feel like it hasn't got the respect that it quite deserves.
Controversial. A bold take.
I think it makes a very interesting point on. It is, in essence, stupid. but it's a lot of fun, and it makes a lot of interesting points about music. There's a lot of great musicians that feature. Anderson .Paak,
Does he?
George Clinton, I think it is, that's in
Wow.
it. Obviously, Justin Timberlake is in it, but
Wouldn't be surprised.
trying to think of other musicians. But yeah, it makes an interesting point on music and culture, and how everyone has different culture. So I just wanted to say that,
And
it's
isn't stupid and fun what we need this year? Huh?
Yeah, it's the best animated film of the year. Not that I've seen any other animated film, but it's the best one I've seen.
Nice. So those are honorable mentions. Are you ready to get into
The nitty
the
gritty.
recommendations?
Yeah.
I'll start with my first one.
I did do a list. Yeah, so Lighthouse was my second favourite film of the year.
I think this is my third favourite film of the year. I only saw it last night. Yeah. I've had it for ages, but I've been putting it off. And it really is. I don't know, I think I knew had high expectations, so I just wanted to.
And it lived up to them.
It did. I need to see it again, because I don't understand half of what happened. But on a sheer filmmaking level, it's astounding.
It's absolutely brilliant.
It reminds me a lot of Bait in many ways, in terms of filmmaking and also aesthetics. Black
and white, yeah. A very interesting aspect ratio as well.
Yeah, I really liked it.
Really lends to the whole vibe. It's the feeling of claustrophobia and that is what the aspect ratio is really for, is to add to this massive feeling of claustrophobia on this island, which watching that film, no one it's everyone's worst nightmare, really. What happens on that island, and I think that is the point. Is I've seen an interview with Robert Pattinson, and he says he asked Robert Eggers, "Is any of this real?" And then the director obviously just says, "What do you think?"
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what I like. It leaves it completely up to interpretation, and everyone probably thinks something different.
And Willem Dafoe is, both hilarious and super creepy.
I'm shocked he didn't get nominated for an Oscar for that.
He should have been nominated, and as much as I love Brad Pitt, and I'm glad he won an Oscar, he should not only not been nominated in Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah,
he should have won.
Yeah, he should have.
He was better than Brad Pitt.
It's classic Willem Dafoe. Chew the scenery, go crazy.
What surprised me when I first watched it was how funny it was.
Yeah, I laughed. It's the first time a film has made me laugh from farts. I really laughed.
Farts are funny.
Very funny.
And Robert Pattinson has a few good lines.
He looks incredible.
He looks great.
Doing his manual labour with his tash. Oh, man. What a guy.
What's a guy? Robert, if you're listening.
We loved you in that. Make a Lighthouse too.
Interesting little fact. Robert Pattinson saw The Witch by Robert Eggers, and immediately just contacted him saying, I want to be in whatever you do next.
Oh, wow.
And apparently he came to him with something else initially. And Robert Pattinson said, no, I want something weirder.
Well,
he got weird.
And that's what I really like about the film, is it goes, obviously I'm not going to say anything, but it goes in strange directions that you never really anticipate.
Yeah.
But it makes sense within the context of the film. It never feels like, they've just jumped the shark. It's so good. And there's so many layers to it.
Yeah.
I was looking at its Wikipedia, and some of the way the shots mirror old art and stuff is just phenomenal. It's such a well-directed
The level of detail and depth is astounding. And yeah, Robert Eggers really knows how to make a film.
Yeah.
He really does.
And it's very different from The Witch as well.
It's so different. Do you like The Witch?
I've never finished it. It was a little boring for me.
Too slow burn.
It just didn't. It didn't really have much momentum behind it.
I mean, that's
I mean,
probably-
The Lighthouse is slow, but you get the sense that something is bubbling.
oh, it. Don't worry, it reached boiling. The Witch reaches boiling point too.
Yeah, I do want to. Now I've seen The Lighthouse, I do
Black
want to go
Phillip.
back.
What's a character?
But no, this was. Is it my favourite horror of the year? Probably. I feel a bit bad for Possessor, Brandon Cronenberg, because that is great, but this is unlike anything I've ever really seen.
Yeah, I would agree. Fantastic film. Did you? I was lucky enough to see it in the cinema, which
Oh.
was brilliant. Um,
I'm quite jealous of that.
so, the music, well, not just the music, the sound of the lighthouse,
The sound design is fantastic.
the ominous
Mm.
of the lighthouse is used to great effect, and it's scary, it's funny,
It feels like a fever dream.
it does. Amazing film, and I recommend
Really good.
even if you don't like horror.
It's barely horror, to be honest.
More of a psychological thriller.
Yeah.
Go watch it.
It's on Sky now.
It is on Sky Cinema. So yeah, The Lighthouse. Good decision. Sorry,
Thank you.
I've got too excited. I would, if you hadn't have mentioned that one, I would have.
I mean, you know more about it than I do. I've literally haven't. It's not been 24 hours since I watched it, so I'm more than happy for you to gush.
Right. Do you want me to go now?
I'd love you to do that.
Right. So my first one is it's a bit left field.
Hmm?
Do you know anything about this film?
Not a thing.
Not a thing. Well, I think you're going to like the sound of it, and if you've got BFI, you can go watch it tonight.
Well, that's good news to me.
That's what I saw it on. It's on the BFI player. It came out in September.
Oh.
It is directed by Johan Johansson.
I do. Okay, I do know about this.
The recently deceased
Composer, was he?
composer, yeah. But he directed this and obviously scored it. It's narrated by Tilda Swinton, who is speaking from the perspective of the last humans, in a message or warning to us, basically. Because we are the first humans, and over a period of, I think it's about 2 billion years, there are 18 different species of human. I think they move planets. Do
you see them, or is it all?
No. The whole thing is I've seen people say that it's not a feature film. It's only 70 minutes, I think. And it is in some aspects more of an art installation. Yeah. Because it's black and white, and it's purely shots of old Soviet architecture.
Really?
From Yugoslavia.
Blimey.
And that's all it is visually, with this narration from Tilda Swinton, who is, well, she's kind of the person to. She does all she does is speak, but she does it very well. And it's Johan Johansson, is that his name?
Yeah.
Johan Johansson. It's shot on 16mm black and white. It's gorgeously shot. But as it is Johan Johansson, the score is the star in many ways. And the score is absolutely astounding. Through music, the story is told in many ways of humanity, and it's about it's about humans ourselves. There's so many important themes. Yeah. Where we're going. I think obviously it's based on a book that was written in the 30s, I believe.
Oh wow.
Yeah, by British author Olaf Stapledon. And the book is, well, as it's a book, 336 pages. The book goes into far more depth about these different types of human. So the film is more of a skimming through. But I just think the choice of filming the former Soviet Yugoslavia
Yeah.
is very interesting, and that sort of is about, and it's derelict. It has obviously very post-apocalyptic vibes, which I love. There's and the use of that architecture is obviously to do with, you know, the sort of what communism showed the world about, you know, human nature. So I think that is very interesting. The music, I can't gush about the music anymore. It's incredible. Yeah, just go get a free BFI player trial, 14 days, and watch that film.
My question is,
70 minutes.
Was it completed prior to his death, or was it finished afterwards? Do you know?
I don't know. That's a very good question. There isn't a Wikipedia page on it.
Wow, that's how you know it's underground.
Yeah. Let me just read.
That has been on my radar.
A sound artist completed the work after Johan's death.
Oh, okay. So I imagine all the photography was done.
Yeah, and presumably most of the score.
Yeah, you'd think so. You'd think at least the blueprint would be there.
So yeah, that is an excellent film. And like I said, if you want something exciting, I guess that, you know,
Different.
There's not much happening in it, but it's beautifully shot, beautifully scored, and it's a very fascinating and interesting tale on humanity.
What we are. Very nice.
Yeah.
My next pick, I wrote a review on it, but I can't remember if we mentioned it on the podcast. So I saw this at London Film Festival, One Night in Miami.
I feel like you may have mentioned it.
Directed by Regina King, obviously starred in Watchmen last year.
Beale Street Could Talk.
Beale Street Could Talk. This is coming out on Amazon Prime in January or February, I think. But I'm counting it as 2020 because I saw it this year. I know it might be a cheat. I don't know.
Could be a cheat.
So it's based on. Sorry.
Is this allowed?
Who's gonna stop me?
Right.
So it's based on a play of the same name, by a guy called Kent Powers. I'd never heard of him, but some people who like plays might have. And it does feel like a play because it's all kind of set in real time. It follows four important. It's set in the 60s, I should mention, and follows four important black figures. So you have Malcolm X, Jim Brown, who was a football player, Sam Cooke, who was a singer, and Cassius Clay, prior to becoming Muhammad Ali, as they're kind of intersect and interact following Muhammad Ali, a Cassius Clay fight in the 60s.
Right.
And it kind of becomes he wins his fight, and then they go those four. So at this point, Cassius Clay is interacting with the Nation of Islam, and he's friends with Malcolm X, and is pondering whether to convert to Islam and stuff. And they all convene in a hotel room following his win in the fight, and it becomes, the second half of the film is pretty much just an interaction between them in that hotel room as they kind of discuss their ideology.
Is it very theatrical in the sense?
It is. It really is. They discuss what equality means to them, their views on black liberation, how to achieve black liberation. And it's a really, again, I've said it about Divine Bloods, but it feels very timely as well. Because a lot of it is allegorical of what's going on now. Some of the arguments you can so easily apply. Like there's Sam Cooke, who's I think he's the singer. His argument is his contribution to black liberation is being a singer, performing, and being a high-profile black artist. But then Cassius Clay is saying, "But you're just performing to white people. What are you but a plaything for white audiences to consume and absorb what they want and then discard the rest. And the whole film kind of is comprised of interactions and conflicts like that. And the performances are so good. Notably Kingsley Ben-Adir, who plays Malcolm X. He looks just like him. It's ridiculous.
Right.
He's being tipped for an Oscar nom, which again I think he probably deserves. And it's just very well directed. So many films and filmmakers would struggle to not only introduce 4 characters that all are meant to be well known in their own right and have their own arcs, but to balance them so well and make their interactions intriguing enough to hold a viewer's attention for the majority of the film. But Regina King does it so well. I'm not sure. Yeah, it is her directorial debut.
It is, yeah.
And it's a really confident one. I think she'll probably get an Oscar nomination.
And it's I was just going to ask, is it written by her? But I've just looked myself. It's written by Kemp Powers,
Yeah,
who is
did the play.
Who is the co-director on Soul.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Kemp Powers wrote the play, so I guess he's adapted it to film, and he does a good job. I imagine it's quite hard.
Play. Sorry, I didn't realize.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I imagine it's quite hard to take your own work that you've done and adapt it to a different medium, but it's really well done.
Flynn?
Pardon?
Gillian Flynn?
Yeah, it's a good example. Gone Girl, good film. We might mention David Fincher later, who knows? But yeah, it's a really, it feels like a time capsule of a really significant turning point in the civil rights movement, but not in the way you'd expect, not in the Selma marches or the passing of the Civil Rights Act, but the smaller details, the ground level. I guess it's not really ground level because it's these huge high profile figures, but it's such an enjoyable watch. It's one I'm definitely going to be rewatching the moment it comes out on Amazon.
Right. Oh yeah, if it's out on Amazon, I'll definitely give that a watch.
I think keep your eyes out in February, because I'd be shocked if that's not getting some sort of nomination. But yeah, that's my second one. What's your second one?
Well, my second one is I'll keep it with the 60s.
Okay.
So my second recommendation is The Trial of the Chicago 7, which is written and directed by Aaron Sorkin. I think he wrote the script quite a long time ago. Times Steven Spielberg was in line to direct it.
Oh, really?
Which, if I think about, would that have made the film better? Possibly. But would it also have made it feel like The Post, Bridge of Spies, you know?
Generic.
Yeah. Sorry, Stephen.
That's our interview gone.
But no, it's written and directed by Aaron Sorkin, and it's in many ways it's Aaron Sorkin pornography.
Yeah.
Everything he does well, amplified. It's a Hollywoodization of the story. A lot of people have talked about the historical inaccuracies, saying that Sorkin sort of moved events around, but I don't care about that. It doesn't say this all happened in the exact way it's told. It's like The Crown. I agree that Netflix shouldn't have to put saying this is fiction, because it's obviously fiction.
Everything has to be dramatized in some way for the sake of entertainment.
Real life is boring.
That's correct.
But it's got an absolutely stellar cast from top to bottom. Sacha Baron Cohen is the real steals the show.
Does he?
Even despite his slightly dodgy American accent, he plays Abby Hoffman, who was the leader of the Yippies. The co-leader of the Yippies, with Jerry Rubin, who's played by Jeremy Strong, who form Jeremy Strong and Sacha Baron Cohen are a very good double act in the film. They're seen, they're seen as womanizers. They're smoking weed. Obviously, they're Yippies. It was the 60s.
It was.
Even the lawyer. So the other brilliant act, the best performance other than Sacha Baron Cohen, for me, is Mark Rylance, who plays William Kunstler, who was the... I haven't really explained what the film is, sorry. Who was the lawyer for the Chicago Seven, who were taken to court for inciting the Chicago riots at the 1968 Democratic National Convention. And it's... So yeah, Mark Rylance plays their lawyer. He's brilliant throughout. Frank Langella is hateful. He's brilliantly frustrating. You've got Yahya, is that how you pronounce Abdul Mateen?
Oh,
Second, I think.
yeah, he's in
Something like
Watchmen as well.
He plays Bobby Seale.
I like him.
So there's a lot of big names in the... Eddie Redmayne is also in it, playing Tom someone, who's another student. He's leader of the students.
Yeah, he's quite prolific on the
student group. And they all come together. There's clashes within the Chicago Seven, primarily between Eddie Redmayne's character and Sacha Baron Cohen's character, because Eddie Redmayne's more of a, wants to do things by the book. Sacha Baron Cohen,
bit of a bad boy.
He's a bad boy, and they openly mock the judge in court. There's a lot of big laughs. Like I said, most of which do come from Sacha Baron Cohen and Jeremy Strong.
Yeah.
What else is there to talk about?
Is it his first directorial feature?
No, it's people have said it is an improvement on what was Molly's Game.
Oh yeah.
I haven't actually seen it, even though I'm a big fan of Sorkin, which was meant to be a bit showy, which this film isn't showy, but it uses a lot of classic Sorkin techniques. So, for example, if you've seen Steve Jobs, there's a scene halfway through that film where we're intercutting between the present in the film and when Steve Jobs got fired basically from Apple.
Yeah.
And he intercuts it with present very well, with swelling score. And it does that with this. They run through. Mark Rylance plays. Pretends to be the prosecution, and is trying to grill Eddie Redmayne, and then it intercuts that with the actual events.
Oh.
And that whole section is absolutely brilliant. That's start
very sharp.
Really good. Most of the film, it is a courtroom drama. So apart from flashbacks and a few scenes sort of outside the courtroom, it is all in the courtroom.
I love a courtroom drama.
Who doesn't? And who does it better than Sorkin?
It's true.
So, and the film is also really, really timely. Much like The Five Bloods, you see, it's the anti-Vietnam War protesters, protesting, and you see sort of there's what's the word? Witness tampering or evidence tampering. Witness. What's the word? Intimidation, witness intimidation, and it's sort of the oppressive powers of the 60s government, and it's about sort of a huge divide that was present at the time, because you see pro or patriots who don't want the war to end for some reason. And yeah, the division, it's a very timely film. It's very well crafted. It's at times a bit Hollywoody. The ending for me is powerful, but I did read someone said that what actually happened would have been more powerful. What was actually said at the end. So yeah, not perfect. but absolute rollicking ride, really, really enjoyable. It's Aaron Sorkin porn. What more could you ask for?
The guy knows how to write a script. And by the sounds of things, he knows how to direct a film.
Yeah, it really does.
And now this actually leads me quite nicely onto my last recommendation.
Go on.
Because the guy who Aaron Sorkin's pretty familiar with is David Fincher.
They've worked together, yes.
Yeah, they've done a thing or two. And so my last choice is Mank.
Right. I
And
still haven't got around to watching.
have you not? Okay.
It.
And it's not necessarily because I think it's one of the best films of the year, because it's been really divisive. Some people have said it's just dull and nothing really happens, which I don't completely agree with. For those who don't know, it's about Herman Mankiewicz, who was the screenwriter of Citizen Kane, and it follows him as he writes and is inspired to write the events of Citizen Kane. And I've never seen Citizen Kane, but you don't need to get the film, really. It's much more about his experience with Hollywood. And it's in some ways a love letter to classic Hollywood in the era of the big studios. And in a lot of other ways, it scrutinizes them and shows how immoral it all was. And Gary Oldman is, as always, brilliant.
Oscar nominations, you think?
I don't know if he's Oscar nomination, but he's very good. It's not one of
He's not
Charles
that good.
Dance is really good. He's in it.
Someone.
I think my favorite performance is Amanda Seyfried. She's really good in it. And I don't know. I just think from a contextual standpoint of David Fincher directing a script written by his dad before he died, it's really nice. It's clearly a passion. It's clearly a passion project. He's had so many projects he was going to do that then haven't happened. It's probably just worked out that now was the time he could finally. It's been in the works since the 90s, and
Netflix will do anything the guy asks.
It's an interesting one because aesthetically, again, it's black and white, and the production design. I'd be shocked if it doesn't win the Oscar for production design and all that sort of thing, because it looks so convincing. It's really good in that department. I think the thing people have an issue with is the script is quite heavy. It's quite a dense script. The dialogue is not always the clearest, and it doesn't necessarily lay out the plot in the clearest way.
Right.
Which kind of
Jack Fincher.
Possibly, but I quite like that in a sense, because I don't think you're meant to understand every little crevice of the plot the first time around, because Mank doesn't. When he's in this Hollywood world, he becomes increasingly disillusioned as the film goes on.
Right.
With the system, with the artistic merit behind it, and it is ultimately quite a sad story. And I mean, maybe the problem is it's a David Fincher film. It's his first film in 6 years, and that inevitably comes with a huge amount of baggage and massive expectations, and it's not really like anything he's done before.
No.
But I think it doesn't fit his usual, like his slick, thrillery type things. But I was reading an interview with him, and it seems like he always goes back to Alien 3 as a reference point of the first film he ever made, where he wanted his name off the credits because the studio interfered and it didn't feel like his film. But this feels completely like his film, his love letter to not only old Hollywood, but to his father. And to the Hollywood that once was, but now isn't. And it's scathing in that sense. Like Orson Welles is in quite a few scenes, and he doesn't seem like an incredible bloke, to be honest.
Right.
But again, I think a lot of it probably is quite dramatized. There have been criticisms for historical inaccuracy, but again, I think that's a bit of a moot point.
Yeah.
And it's one I want to rewatch, because he's one of the biggest directors around. So whatever happens, it comes with an expectation. And I really liked it. I thought it was a great film. It's deep and it's intoxicating in the world, and the plot is interesting. But I think for some people, just there wasn't enough there. It was a bit more style over substance. which I'm not completely sure I agree with. I just think maybe it's not what people are expecting. I think you need your expectations in check if you're to enjoy it.
Right.
But I liked it a lot, and in terms of like a period piece, is up there. It's really enjoyable.
Interesting. Well, yeah, I've been planning to watch that for a while.
Yeah.
So get round to it.
You should. Our friend David.
But close personal friend of the show.
Of course.
Right. Well, that
Your
leaves
last
my last pick, which is not an unknown film.
Okay.
It's called Parasite.
I've heard of this.
Which obviously groundbreakingly won Best Picture, first non-English language film to do so. And it deserved all the awards it got. If anything, it deserved a few, at least, nominations in the acting categories.
Yeah.
But it's one of those films where everything comes together. The scripts, the direction, the acting, the soundtrack, the cinematography is all excellent.
Yeah.
And well, that's why it deserved to win Best Picture, because the Best Picture award is a sum of all those parts. But it's very cleverly written.
Yeah.
There's a wealth of, stuff beneath the surface, which an idiot like me can't work it all out.
It unravels really nicely.
And you've got to go. Best way to view the film is to go in not knowing anything.
Yeah, I agree.
Not knowing anything, because the way it unravels, like you say, is brilliant, and
It's genius.
It without spoiling it, it's in many ways it's two films, with a dramatic but it works tonal shift about halfway through. And it's brilliant. It's primarily a comment on the rigid class system in South Korea, but obviously that is that transcends South Korea and the universal issue, exactly. So that's another way it works very well, and that's probably why it's done so well worldwide, is that it's South Korea is guilty of having a class system, but everyone is.
So many are.
So it's very very timely as well. When the wealth gap is getting bigger and bigger. I don't have any stats to base that on, by the way.
It's probably true.
If you're an economist and you disagree, let me know.
Bring your stats.
Yeah.
On every level, it feels like it elevates. Well, it's a bold statement, but cinema in some way it elevates. It's on an industrial level, or even just sheerly as a film.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else to say.
I mean, I haven't seen it since I watched it in February, and I've been meaning to rewatch it prior to the end of the year, but it is one that really sticks with you.
Oh, absolutely. I saw it at the cinema. This was in a period of about a month when I saw 1917, Parasite, The Lighthouse.
Oh boy.
All in the cinemas. So yeah, that was good fun. But that was
those old-fashioned things.
So yeah, I was lucky to get my fill of the cinema before they all shut. But yeah, obviously, as with most films, better at the cinema. But I did also watch it last week, and it's just so good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to verbalize it. It's so. Oh.
I'd say it kind of makes you. It gives you like a feeling, creates an atmosphere that you don't really see in Western cinema. Even in terms of, like you were saying, how the plot structure and tone is played with. It's not the kind of thing you'd really ever see from a Western filmmaker. And I hope it's like a watershed moment now, where we can start embracing cinema from other regions of the world that do something a bit different. Because Bong Joon-ho is not a new director on the block, but it's about time that he started getting plaudits, because this isn't his first good film.
No. What's his first? What was his first?
Well, I mean, the only other one I've seen Snowpiercer, which I quite again it kind of touches on
Yeah, similar things.
similar ideas.
I've seen it. Okja.
Oh yeah, I've seen that as well. Yeah, I've seen that as well.
It's also a very good film.
It is not quite about class, but
No, that's about animals. But
that's a massive hippo.
It's not a hippo.
It basically is.
And that one was released on Netflix, with most of the plot taking place in Korea, but with a lot of English.
It's quite interesting that after that he went back with like a Western cast. He went back to do this.
I was reading that originally it was meant to be written as originally it was written as a play.
Oh really?
Which you can sort of see. It has most of it takes place, in one house. There's so much. I think there's a comment on sort of. Well, I got a comment on global warming, how that will affect the poorest people most, while the rich people, will remain unaffected, and it's them that are,
gonna face the brunt of it, really.
Yeah.
I think can be said for a lot of things that the film touches on. It's the working class that are the ones that feel the effect.
The first half of the film is very satisfying. It's very enjoyable. It's
quite funny. Yeah,
there's a lot of laughs. It's very clever. Like I said, go watch it blind. But now I'm struggling to explain it without telling you what happens. But yeah, very clever.
Unlike anything.
It's one of those where you watch, in the same way that you watch a sort of Ocean's 11, and at the end it all comes together, and you're like, oh, that's really clever. It's satisfying in that sense, the first half, but then the second half is just balls to the wall, nuts.
It's very bold.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was for me the best film I've seen this year, although I have only seen 13, which I'm very disappointed with.
I'm up to.
I've been to the old film festivals.
That did give me a head start. I'm up to 63, I think.
Yeah, very impressive. But then there's a lot of films that have been on Netflix I haven't seen, like The Five Bloods I haven't seen, Mank I haven't seen. So yeah, best film out of the 13 I've seen.
I do think I need to rewatch Parasite.
There is actually another film on the list that is Asian cinema.
Oh, what is it? Which
is The Wild Goose Lake, which I watched on Movie, which is set. I watched it, I think April, so this is probably in lockdown.
Yeah.
And it's set in Wuhan.
Oh, really?
But it's just a crime film. It has some similar themes, I guess, as Parasite, but it is just more of a conventional crime film.
That sounds quite interesting.
In a way that Parasite is completely unconventional in most ways.
It's barely a genre.
Yeah. So yeah, that's Parasite. Go watch it.
Parasite. It's on Amazon Prime.
You're an idiot.
Go and watch Parasite.
And if you're scared of it because you have to read subtitles, you are a big idiot.
Ollie's taking shots of the listeners today.
Yeah, I think Bong Joon-ho said in one speech, award-winning speech, he said American audiences, and it isn't just American audiences, it's British audiences, need to just get used to reading subtitles, because it opens up literally a whole world of cinema. It does.
I watched Audition on BFI Player a month or two ago, which is Korean. It's by Takashi Miike, and it's subtitled. I mean, I'm not going to get into it because it's not from 2020, and B, it's not relevant. But it's just proof that non-Western cinema does stuff so differently.
Yeah.
And that's the best way to broaden your horizons, really, is to go outside what you'd normally watch. And Parasite hopefully is a
Hopefully, Parasite ushers in a new era of appreciation for global cinema.
I agree.
I'd like to, if the Oscars, stop being so American focused, they'd be far more interesting.
They would. But I just think this year there probably won't be the same thing, just because not as much as.
No. Well, the highest grossing film of the year globally is one that came out in China.
Is it?
Yeah.
I know that the highest grossing film in America is Bad Boys for Life.
Yes.
Which I actually want to watch purely because it's the highest grossing film.
Yeah, I mean, it's meant to be quite good.
I'm not in. That's actually on my list. I was saying before the podcast, I've got a list on my notebook of everything I need to watch. There's a few on here that probably would get a mention had I seen them. Let me run through a few. Trial of Chicago is on there.
What?
Trial of Chicago 7.
What's that?
Oh, it's just a little film.
Trial of Chicago.
Yeah.
Honestly, you're mumbling. What are you doing?
So it's the opposite of what podcasters should do. What else have I got here? Never, Rarely, Sometimes, Always. It's on Sky. Yeah. It's about abortion, I think. I've got a P next to it, which indicates priority.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The Photograph, which is like a romantic drama with Lakeith. Yeah. And the other one is The Midnight Sky, the George Clooney.
Yeah.
Side. That comes out Wednesday on Netflix.
Does it? It's not meant to be that good though.
Yeah, I've heard middling things, but he's shaved his head for it, so I'm quite curious. That's always a bold move.
Yeah.
But I'd say overall it's been a good year for cinema.
Film. It's been a good year for film, if you include all the films that won awards in February.
If you include everything that came out in 2019 in America, but 2020 here, it's been a cracking year.
Really good, a lot of good films. But I'll just go, because I did make a list for top 10.
Oh yeah.
I'll just find that for you.
Enlighten us. I'll run through mine as well while we're here.
While we're here, it is Christmas. We haven't done a podcast in years.
We got to treat people.
No one's even listening at this point anyway. I'm just telling you.
Even I'm not editing this.
So yeah, my top 10 was Charles World Tour was put in at number 10.
Ooh.
Like I said, it beat out an American Pickle. Come on, Seth, you're better than that. And some garbage Netflix documentary. Then 9, I put The Wild Goose Lake. I also beat out Borat.
Really?
Borat 2, yeah, which wasn't amazing.
Really? Oh, okay.
So it had some laughs, but it didn't say much. But no,
do you not think it did?
It did say a lot, actually.
I really liked it. I want to see it again.
But I think any film with
The thing with that film is now it's very much rubber stamped as a pre-election film.
Yeah.
It's not going to age great because of how specifically it looks at all of those things. But carry on.
It was good. Then at 9, I had The Wild Goose Lake. 8 at Tenet. 7, Dark Waters.
I've heard of it. Is that Kristen Stewart?
Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, yeah.
Fighting the big chemical companies.
What a guy.
A bit, bit Oscar baity in the sense that it came out around that time and it's about, little man fighting the big man.
It always does.
But, it's Todd Haynes, very well crafted. Ruffalo's brilliant. What else could be done? 6 was Last and First Men. 5 was Trial of Chicago 7. 4 was 1917, but I feel like I could put that a bit lower.
I've still not seen that.
Oh, wow.
Never been drawn to it.
No, it is good, very well made. Beautiful cinematography. Although possibly The Lighthouse should have beaten Deakins for cinematography. I can't remember who did The Lighthouse cinematography. And then 3 is Uncut Gems, 2 is The Lighthouse, and 1 Parasite. So, a lot of very good films.
It's great films. Mine is
February.
10, Mangrove.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen that yet.
9, After Love, which I saw at the festival. 8, Supernova, again, saw at the festival. Colin Firth and The Tooch. I think we talked about that.
We have talked about that.
7, One Night in Miami. 6, Possessor. We've definitely talked about that. 5, Herself. I think I mentioned it. I can't remember. That was my favourite from the festival. 4, I'm Thinking of Ending Things.
Still haven't seen it.
I really like that. 3, The Lighthouse.
Everyone loves a bit of Kaufman.
It's a really good film, and obviously Jesse Plemons, the Plem.
Oh, he's the best.
3, The Lighthouse. 2, Parasite. 1, To Five Bloods.
Well, there we have it. What
What
a
a
year.
year it's been. Ollie, it's been a pleasure. It's been great to be back.
It's been an absolute pleasure, yeah.
It's been a great year. Hopefully
Always fun.
we could do an episode looking at everything we got next year. That'd be nice and fun.
That's a good. Yeah, maybe we get that out on January the 1st.
So in theory, listeners, we might see you again soon.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. Sounds
Ollie,
good.
thanks
Stay
so much
safe.
for your time. Stay safe, my friend. Merry Christmas to
Merry Christmas,
everyone
everyone.
listening. Have a wonderful holiday.
Hopefully, just if you can't see your family, just get pissed.
Head on Zoom.
That solves all problems, as we all know.
Of course. That's never gone wrong.
Keep it breezy, bros. And
Goodbye, everyone. Merry Christmas.